At last the workmen reached the level crossing. "What shall we do here?"
"Tear it up, tarmac it,"
said George. So they did, but not properly, and George knew it too. Later, Thomas was travelling home on the same line. He was pulling trucks filled with vegetables. The signalman had forgotten to warn his driver about the crossing. "That's nice, we don't need to stop," said Thomas happily. "Yes, we do," called his driver, but it was too late.
Percy gave a ghostly whistle. "Don't be frightened, Thomas," he laughed. "It's only me." "Your ugly phiz is enough to frighten anyone," said Thomas. "You're like ugly indeed. I'm a green caterpillar with red stripes," continued Thomas firmly. "You crawl like one too." "I don't." "Who's been late every afternoon this week?" "It's the hay." "I can't help that," said Thomas. "Time's time, and the fat controller relies on me to keep it. I can't if you crawl in the hay till all hours." "Green caterpillar indeed," fumed Percy. He set off to collect some hay to take to the hop.
Duck was waiting for his next journey. Near him stood a red bus, but he didn't look friendly like Bertie. The bus growled as he gazed at the happy passengers.
"Stupid nonsense,"
he grumbled.
"I wouldn't have brought them if I'd known. I'd have had a breakdown or something."
"I'm glad you didn't," smiled Duck. "You'd have spoiled their fun."
"Ah, enjoyment is all you engines live for. One day railways will be ripped up."
Duck felt shocked at such an idea. "We have a friend called Bertie, and he's a bus, but he likes the railway. Sometimes he teases us about it, but he'd never want to see it ripped up."
"Huh,"
growled the bus.
"I know Bertie. He's too small in size to be of any use."
Duck took no notice. "That bus is silly," he thought as he steamed away. Soon they reached Gordon's Hill. push hard, puffed Henry. We're doing it, replied Duck. Henry was pulling his train harder than he realized. Duck felt the weight on his buffers slacken. Then Duck noticed something else. "There's no sign of a tail lamp," he puffed. He whistled, but there was no reply. Meanwhile, Henry had noticed something too. "My train's getting heavier," he thought to himself. "I'm slowing down." Then there was trouble. No one was hurt, but a strong smell of fish hung in the air. Finally, Thomas passed Toby. "Slow down, Thomas," Toby cried. "There's something ahead on your tracks." But Thomas wasn't listening. He was sure the end of the rainbow was just around the corner. Then there was trouble. Thomas clipped the telegraph pole and they all came off the tracks. Luckily, no one was hurt. "Cinders and ashes!" Thomas cried.
"Look at me," she purred to the passengers. "I'm the latest diesel, highly sprung and right up to date. You won't want Thomas's bumpy old Annie and Clarabelle now." The passengers waited for Daisy to start, but she didn't. She saw that a milk van was about to be coupled to her and was most indignant. "Do they expect me to pull that?" "Surely," said her driver, "you can pull one van." "I won't," said Daisy. "Percy can do it. He loves messing about with trucks." She began to shudder violently. "Nonsense," said her driver. "Come on now, back down." Daisy lurched backwards. She was so cross that she blew a fuse. "Told you," she said, and stopped.
Go to it, Percy, shouted the driver as they started to climb the hill. The trucks were still joking. Too slow, more power, here all night, tomorrow too. Be quiet, said Percy angrily. Then there was trouble. A coupling broke. Surprise, surprise, catch us if you can. Oh, no, cried Percy.
The next day, Rusty had a very clever idea. If only we had a lorry to help us, Rusty sighed. Elizabeth stopped. Well, I couldn't possibly help you. I'm a quarry lorry. Well, we do need a special kind of lorry, Rusty teased. I am a special kind of lorry, protested Elizabeth. It requires hauling, said Rusty. I can haul, said Elizabeth proudly. And pulling heavy branches, Hardesty. Well, of course I can pull. So you'll do it, said Rusty. Well, of course. Elizabeth was as good as her word. She hauled rubbish and pulled branches from the line. She helped remove a fallen sycamore tree from the cattle creep. Thank you, Elizabeth, said Rusty. We couldn't have done it without you. I know, said Elizabeth proudly.